Hi everybody, this is Dawn. Hopefully this little setup works. I've got the computer balanced on something, but I wanted you to have a look at this lake. It's just so lovely today. It's been raining a lot here where I am, and this is a brief respite. The blue sky came back out and the lake's really full, but just beautiful. The wind is creating these ripples, and yeah, it's pretty much how it's going right now, isn't it? And a beautiful time. So I will post this on Thursday the 25th, which will be Ascension Thursday, and I made a separate video about the Ascension of Jesus, and I think I'll just leave that at that. But it's a really beautiful day. You know, Jesus came to show us the way so that we might rise to new life, and this is just a glorious time. And I had just a beautiful experience last Saturday evening, unexpectedly. It did not play out the way that I had always seen in terms of my vision of it, and yet so beautiful and so blessed. And I'll share more about that another time, but it was just a treasured experience for me, preceded by and followed by just a lot of beautiful energy. And then Monday and Tuesday for me were quite tumultuous in terms of the physical symptoms and the wall of energy, the downloads or the light codes or the activations or whatever they are. That's not my particular area, but it's certainly been a lot of activity and just really quite interesting. There is this amazing, let's see if I can show this to you. Well, he's on my camera, but you're not going to be able to see him. He's it's like I think it must be an aphid, although it looks a little bit like a spider, and it's green and translucent, like see-through, but gosh, it almost has this body of a scorpion. I'm a little afraid to touch it because what if it's a baby scorpion? Hold on a second. Excuse me. Bye-bye. Okay. Wow, that was interesting. Yeah, that I talked about it because it feels like there's something significant there. Haven't quite put it together, but in any case, lots of signs and synchronicities for me, and in terms of just what's happening in the collective. It's just this is it. You know, 2,000 years ago, for those of us who have connections to the timeline when Jesus lived and was crucified and resurrection occurred. And there were those 40 days after Easter where Jesus appeared to the disciples behind closed doors on several occasions and had breakfast with them on the shore or with a group of them, and appeared to large numbers of people and appeared to 2 disciples who were going about their daily lives walking on the road to Emmaus. And the disciples, or his closest followers, began to just, on a surface level, understand that this was much, much bigger than they had understood, even though Jesus had predicted his death and his resurrection and the ascension in a couple of places, and particularly in John chapter 6, I believe it's recorded, where Jesus is talking about this. And but in any case, even his closest followers and even Mary Magdalene, had not fully understood. And then when they began to get a glimpse of it, I mean, their worlds had been rocked, had been changed. Everything they knew was different. And what I was leading into is that those of us who have connections with that timeline probably, at that time and even in all the lifetimes since, never imagined that it would be 2,000 years. 2,000 years that we are following in the way that he opened up for us, and here we are. And today is beautiful. Not just today, Thursday the 25th, when I will post this. I'm recording it on the 24th, Wednesday, which is, by the way, the inception of the 9th wave that the Mayan calendar predicted. And I do want to share one thing about my experience last Saturday night, which was essentially a passing through the gates. And I hesitated for just a moment because of the way I had always seen it, that would only happen, or that would happen together with my divine counterpart. But there is no question that I was going to walk through when the opportunity was given to me, and so I did. And so there was a beautiful, some things that I was shown there. And one of the things that I want to say, oh, this has to do with the little bug I just saw. I just got it. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to say is that one thing that was really amazing. So the central part of what I was shown was I was actually walking on this water through the gates that was a rushing, well, not a rushing, but a river that was moving quite like this water in the background. And I was walking on top of it through the gates, but you could see straight down. It was like a crystal river. And that actually is a part of a vision that I talked about, I think about a year ago. I'll try to link to that video, but it was very much like that vision, only better, because in the reality of what I saw was the river itself that I was walking on top of, and that you could see everything was reflected in it too, the trees and the fruit and the which actually the trees themselves were more than trees. I'll leave it at that. But the river, back to the river, it was crystal you could see through, which I had seen previously. But what was amazing was that there was, like, it was infused with life itself. And it was like there was, DNA strands that were running through it of light. And the entire thing was had an energy about it that was so pure, so full of life, and so beautiful. And I think that the convergence of these very significant events, the inception of the ninth wave, and I don't follow that very closely, so I don't even know all of what that means, but I believe it's about unity consciousness and about a new era for humanity. And for me, it's very aligned to in my Cultivating Essence book series, where it's talking about a new era rich in love. And that we must tend to our soul's garden, and we are creating a new agrarian society. And all of this, in addition to it being Ascension Thursday, and Sunday would be Ascension Sunday, and it is also Saint Sarah's feast day, and it is also the observance of another saint that is connected to the Mary Magdalene energy. And then there's some personal significances for me in terms of this time. And all of that, the convergence of all of this, it's like we're at this still center point. Some people refer to that as a 0 point frequency, but whatever frequency it is, and I guess it's like this, it's like an, that wasn't the right sound. It's like an activation of these an activation of the energy that's running through the everlasting stream of life. And I believe that that's the river that runs through these gates that I passed through. And I just wanted to share that little bit with you today. It's coming out a little all over the place. Yes, and it's beautiful though. It's beautiful. Life is beautiful. And that's maybe not the way we had expected it 2,000 years ago or yesterday, or when when we came into this life. And that's part of the beauty of it, is that it is ever unfolding. It is ever rolling forward and opening us up into more and more of the fullness of who we are. It's raining. Can't get over this weather. So hope you guys are well. And one other brief note that I wanted to share is that I'm really noticing in my own direct experience and in observation, two things happening simultaneously. One is a desire in those of us who are here to be of service, to collaborate and to join forces and to lift one another up and to encourage and to love. And there is no greater call than to love one another. And as we do that, it multiplies, and we contribute to the we contribute to that realization of all of creation. We participate in the recreation of the world as a world rooted in light and life and love. And the second thing I'm simultaneously noticing is sort of it's a parallel process that is running in various communities and various circles and various expressions of our soul gifts, and also just in societal structures. And that is, sort of that it's a hybrid. It's a hybrid of the old energy, ego-based and mind-driven, both of which are very much things that I continue to come in and out of. That's part of who I am, and that itself is a part of the gift of who each of us is that we have different ways of moving through this process of coming to a deeper experience of our own lives and coming back to life and living in full expression. We do that. Some of us do it in a very neat and ordered and structured fashion, and some of us, like myself, do it in a very, what appears to be haphazard, but is actually very intentional for our own soul's growth process that weaves us in and out. And in this hybrid energy that is sort of like both the old paradigm way of being and with grasping for some of the new, so that parallel process itself that's unfolding can be difficult to witness, and especially when we bump up against moments of it mirrored back to us in others and in our own experiences. And yet that too is purposeful. That too is an opportunity to see ourselves for who we are. And so the word I want to offer there, and what I was shown, is that all of it is beautiful, and all of it is to be honored. And that's difficult to do when you yourself are either seeing your own coming in and out of that, or you are judged for that, or you are seeing it in someone else and feeling impatience and frustration about the state of the quote light worker community, or the twin flame community, or the whatever else other community or system, and it's time for us to rise above that limited perspective of ourselves and others. And on a personal note there, what I would like to share from my own personal experience again is that, and this actually was a part of what was shown to me in this long conversation with Yeshua that unfolded after this experience I had last Saturday night. Essentially, I was saying, but you see how my experience in life overall has been, sort of like slipping down a muddy slope, right? And I always feel like I don't have the capacity, the awareness. It's like blocked. It feels like it's blocked from me at times, or the tools, or the mental functioning ability, or the physical strength, and yada, yada, yada. It could be anything, right? So, and I'm feeling like I'm sliding down a slippery slope, but my intention in my heart is pure. And when is it all going to be fixed? Essentially, is my human desire. When is it all going to be fixed? When is that going to be made perfect? Because here I was having this amazing experience, and being blessed and given such an opportunity to commune there in that place that I was, and I knew that from that moment on I would be there, and any of us will be or can be, and we are given that. And yet my experience with my own personal mission here, as I understand it at this point, and this could change, but is one of being continuously asked to do things that are outside of my capacity, particularly in my own functioning on my own. And when I'm do those things sometimes, it's not seen. It's not seen for what it actually is. And so I was asking about, when would it be made so that everybody could see the pure intent, and likewise, when would I be able to see the, not just the patterns, because I do feel like I'm seeing that, but the purity of intent. And what was shared was that all of this is for our own soul's growth, and to that the time is now for us to honor that in each other, and to simply be present to it for ourselves, and to love ourselves. And for me, what I was shown is that I needed to love the fact that my soul chose this messy way of doing things. And that not just that I chose it, but that I volunteered to be the one who would, and this is true, for you in some way, right? That you volunteered to be the one to express a certain thing. And so likely when we look at someone else and it appears that they're missing something, they don't have the maturity level that we do, or they don't have the understanding that we do, or they don't have the grace that we do, or whatever else it is, or we judge ourselves for that, or we look at another and we think, oh, I don't get that, or why would they do it that way? And we can feel quite superior or inferior. And that's the same thing that we are leaving behind, in terms of, it's just an outdated and a lower way of functioning. And so they just wanted me to mention that, and I wanted to mention it for myself as well, because it's each of us has our own unique thing that makes our own journey challenging for ourselves. So there's the obvious things that we all share, that we all go through, and that's beautiful. But you never know someone else's journey. And sometimes when things appear to be one way, just like you see that reflection there of the beautiful green branch. And if you look in the reflection, you see it differently, right? You see it's moving, and it doesn't even look like a tree or branches. And so what Jesus and the angels were showing me in this conversation, where I was, that was prompted in me by some recent experiences, where it's clear that, I have felt that I am asked to do things that are out of my depth of field, and yet I'm asked to do them, and so I do. And then it's obvious that sometimes, not always, but sometimes those things are misinterpreted, and they appear to be something they are not. And yet it's all purposeful, and it's all beautiful and intentional. And not all things are meant for us individually, like, in other words, the work that each one of us does, and sometimes we don't know what it's for. And that's another one of my personal frustrations, because much of what I'm asked to speak to, I don't have an understanding at the time that I'm speaking it. What is the purpose for this? And I also, like, I'm aware, like, right now when I'm talking about this is a good classic example, right? Because I've been in a really, I've either been in a really beautiful energy, or I've been, like, hit over the head with, you know, like, massive body and crown chakra type activations and clearing or whatever's going on. And so I'm a little tired and a little foggy and a little, it's weird. It's a weird mix. It's like both of them at once, actually. It's like this calm certainty and a conviction and a desire to be of full service and to be fully present in any given moment. And at the same time, there's all this, you know, like under the surface, again, look at this lake, under the surface activity happening, and there's more than meets the eye. And so I'm aware that, like, I'm even as I'm trying to articulate this, I'm just like, it's I hope somebody who's listening is understanding something of what I'm saying, because sometimes I don't. And that's a part of my little messy process that has long been, you know, that's long been it's the thing I would change. When I have my magic wand, I'll do that. And that all of us are doing magnificent, that's what they said, you know, all of us are doing such a beautiful work, and it all fits together in these intricate patterns. And that's the other thing, back to the river that was a highway. It was just, I believe it's described that way in Revelation 22, and also in the Old Testament. It was like a, and we were walking through the gates on the river, and each one of us, when we speak to what we're asked to speak to, when we sit by the river, the lake, when we're asked to do that, when we do our energetic process, when we're simply present to our own journey and our own reclamation of more of the light and the life and the love that we are, each one of us is actually we're ushering in, we are creating a space for more and more people to be drawn along that beautiful river of life, and to pass through the gates and to be raised to new life, and to walk in the way that is always opening up. So much love to you from here beside the still waters that aren't so still today. I love you, and happy to be on the way with each one of you. I've been shown things through the years that are so beautiful in terms of the collective. I'm ready to see that, to feel it, to know it, to be it. Are you? A little bit like us, huh? Inch our way along, reaching through nothing, wondering where we're going. How's this all going to turn out? All the while, we're becoming something. We just don't know what it's going to be yet.